have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV. Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hello and happy Friday to you. I am Ken Reed and this is TV Guidance Counselor. I want to welcome you to the show. This is a fun little bonus mini episode. I was lucky enough to grab some time with Louise Post and Nina Gordon of the amazing Veruca Salt last week when they had a stop in Boston. They are an incredible band. I imagine you are familiar with their work or maybe checking out the show for the first time because you are a fan. If you are, welcome. I think you'll enjoy this little chat. This show has been going about a year and a half. I am a stand-up comedian based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and essentially the premise of the show is that I own every edition of TV Guide. Someone goes through some old classic issues of TV Guide, mostly from the 70s and 80s and sometimes 90s, but sometimes we go outside that, and we discuss what they watched growing up, and it's a great time. I always enjoy talking to people about this sort of thing, and this episode is really no exception. Louise and Nina could not have been nicer, and as I said, I've always enjoyed their music, and I assume you do too. If you have not heard it for some bizarre, strange reason, I highly recommend that you check it out. They have a brand new album out called Ghost Notes that came out a couple weeks ago. It is very, very good, and they were excellent playing at the Paradise in Boston. I don't know if they have any more tour dates posted yet, but if they do, I'm sure they will soon. You should definitely check it out, and I will share it on tvguidancecounselor.com and on our Facebook page and all that, because you will want to see them. Now, on to this episode. We recorded this on the tour bus before their show in Boston, as I said, talking about some great 70s TV. We got a couple of scoops, I think. There's a few things in here that I hadn't heard before about the band, especially related to TV, so I think you will enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's extra bonus episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guests, Louise Post and Nina Gordon of Veruca Salt.
TV Party Tonight! TV Party Tonight! TV Party
Nina Gordon, Louise Post of Veruca Salt. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. We are pre-show here in Boston. I've plied you with a stack of TV guides based on my approximate guesstimation at your ages.
We're in heaven. You really nailed it.
Okay. So we've got like mid-70s here, and we're talking mostly Saturday mornings, and variety shows came up. There was some stuff, anything that really jumped out immediately.
Oh my God, I'm all about the prime time. I mean, I don't know what my mother was thinking when she let me watch all this TV, but right. I watched it all. Okay?
Yeah. Did you have cable or anything, or were you just networks?
Cable?
There was no such thing as cable.
Yeah. You both grew up in the Midwest?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Nina partially in the East Coast and then Midwest.
Right. So I moved away from New York right when cable started in New York,
and
we moved to Chicago.
And then slowly made it.
We moved to Chicago where they didn't have cable in the city for until the mid 80s or late 80s.
Because they had pipes from 1851, so they couldn't get in there. So you're watching the networks and you're watching primetime all the time with your mom, and you're like, my mom should not have let me watch this stuff, or just that volume?
I'm grateful that she did, because I have such fond memories of these shows. I'm looking at Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, and
so all the Gary Marshall stuff.
Absolutely, and then M.A.S.H.
Yeah,
one of the great shows.
A fantastic show, and weirdly a show that a lot of kids watched. But if you said now, show this 10-year-old a comedy about the Korean War, you'd be like, I don't know if that's appropriate.
Right, exactly.
I found M.A.S.H. so depressing. Just the sound of that theme song.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's called Suicide is Painless, which, I mean, is one of the most depressing titles for a theme song.
Right, and it's interesting that you found it depressing, because you have often described yourself as a child wanting to go there, wanting to feel the pain, wanting to experience it, and gravitating towards things that made you feel. And we've talked about that, how as a kid, we want to feel so. No,
this was a series based on. Look, it says based on the hit movie. So they tried to make a series based on the movie we've talked about, which was Sunshine, which Louise and I totally bonded on. Hundreds of years later, about how as young girls we were just completely riveted by these stories of disease and children losing their mothers.
Do you want to know how often I think of that movie?
I do too.
I think of it because it's dark as
Didn't she die?
Anything?
She died of ovarian cancer or
Was
something.
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
God.
the 70s were a dark time
So
for
dark.
things aimed at children.
So dark, but I didn't realize. So it says Cliff DeYoung as a widower with a child to raise and a living to make.
And he
Sunshine.
rode a motorcycle.
Right.
Yeah,
Remember?
well, it was the 70s.
I had the
It was
book,
the
too.
Evil Knievel era.
I think of it all the time, and I think about that relationship between a daughter and a father in relation to my daughter and her dad.
Yeah.
And I think I want them, of course, I want to stick around for it.
Right.
But I,
I don't want to die just for this.
I want them to have that closeness.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you showed them that movie?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Once
Do
again-
this without the death.
Except every Disney movie is about parents die.
Oh, yeah.
The parents die in every
That
movie
like primal
anyway.
childhood
Oh,
fear
yeah.
of just
Yep.
being orphaned. I wonder if a lot of the stuff they hadn't quite figured out how to narrowcast directly to children yet, so they were kind of writing it just. Some of it might have been ignorance, where they didn't know how to make shows for kids that made money. But they were just
Except for on Saturday mornings.
Right.
I don't know. And it wasn't such a crazy, careful world, and it wasn't such a world of litigation, and there wasn't
Right.
there wasn't enough concern for sure about what children should be exposed to, and yet there was, because there was less censorship, there was more for us to watch and cry over.
Right. I mean, some of that too was because you only had the 4 networks, so they had to make stuff that appealed to a whole family, and families
Oh.
watch TV together.
Fair enough.
Whereas now, your kid can watch whatever they want on their phone alone at any time.
Not
pretty
on my
much.
phone.
I have no idea who Beverly Archer is, and I don't remember a show called We've Got Each Other. Do you?
That was a very short-lived show. That's I
Who's
think
she?
1971 or 70.
Oh, yeah, no, we were
She was
too-
one of those people that showed up on game shows a lot. Like she would be on like "What's My Line" and
Oh,
all
Or
that.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah,
Right, like
and you're
Nipsey
like, I don't know
Russell
who
or
this person
somebody.
is outside of this show.
Right.
Oh, Louise, look. There's the Grinch. Look. Oh, hold on.
You got the great. Is this a Christmas issue?
Yep.
The Grinch? Oh my God.
Did you ever see Halloween is Grinch Night, the sequel to the Grinch?
That's what it just was. I don't actually remember that.
It's so disappointing. It is nowhere near as good.
Jonathan Winters is a pumpkin head.
Well, we all know that. She wasn't even reading that. That's just a statement.
And
that
here's
Nina decided to
Sha-Na-Na.
make.
Something about Sha-Na-Na. Remember Sha-Na-Na?
Oh, they had a
Louise?
variety show.
Oh, do I?
Oh,
Yeah.
do you?
The Bowser from Sha-Na-Na had a variety show that was produced by Gary Marshall, I think.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh
it
my
was not the
God.
best show, but it was that weird. The 70s was when nostalgia kind of was created, so you had that 50s nostalgia for
Oh
the
my
first
God.
time, and then it went in the 20-year cycles.
So was that really the first time
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
70s
because
with Happy Days and
Teenagers,
Grease?
exactly. It was always the 20-year cycles. Teenagers were basically invented in the 50s. Before that, you like at 17 got married and were an adult.
Right,
And then they were like,
right.
these kids can be, they can spend money and they'll go see movies about monsters.
Right.
So the
Crazy.
nostalgia of the baby boomers started in the 70s, and in the 80s there was 60s nostalgia, 90s it was all 70s, early 2000s it was 80s. It's very, very weird.
Right,
how
and
that seems to
now
work. Now
the 90s, and
the
here we
90s,
are.
Yeah.
You have to take a picture of Patty the Prayer Doll.
I will.
Patty the Prayer
Look,
Doll.
here's the girl with the bad rep. James at 15.
I love
Lance
James at
Kerwin and
15.
Terri Nunn.
Terri
Oh,
Nunn of Berlin. She was
No!
a teen actress before
No.
Berlin. Yes, yeah. She plays.
There she
yes,
is!
She's beautiful, really funny, great actress, and she never really acted that much after that.
Oh my God, where is my brother? I have
Yeah.
to spend a little bit of time with these books with my brother.
Absolutely. James at 15 was such a great show, shot in Boston and set in Boston, and was sort of a precursor to things like My So-Called Life and Freaks and Geeks, and didn't talk down to teenagers. It was
Oh,
one of
wow.
the first like dramatic teenager shows. I loved that show. It still holds up. But yeah, Terri
Does
Nunn.
it?
Yeah, Terri Nunn has a bad reputation
Terri
about sleeping around.
Nunn. That is crazy.
All right. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that I am currently staring at Bionic Woman and the $6 Million Man,
Yes.
both of which were very important television shows for me.
Were you big on the Bigfoot episodes? That seems to be the ones.
Oh,
that-
yeah. No, not so much. No, that was not my gig. I loved the fact that she emerged from the show, from the $6 Million Man.
Yeah, and got
you
her own
know?
spin-off.
And that she was the spinoff, and that she was the girlfriend, and that she also was electronic, that she was bionic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I worshipped her. Of course, I thought Lee Majors was a babe.
Yeah. Well, he's a handsome man.
Well, yeah. And she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
She was so fresh and natural and smart and strong. And
Have
She
you
was like
seen
a-
it recently? Was she smart?
Yeah, she's fairly
She
smart.
was?
Jamie Summers.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got the bionic brain. She could solve. She could do it with brawn. She could do it with brains. It was Jamie
Well,
Summers.
she seemed like well-read.
Yeah, I think so, because she probably could read more often than other people with bionic eyes. You
It
can
may have
read.
been Lindsay Wagner who was
seemed
well-read, but it
well-read.
came
Possible.
through. Okay?
Yeah, it certainly did.
And I mean, I had to watch that show, or if I came to fourth grade without having watched that show,
Right.
I wouldn't be able to play with all my friends
Right,
because
'cause-
we had to reenact the entire show.
Who made the best sound effect of the bionic
Oh
sound?
my God. I mean, I don't remember. It could have been me. It could have been my friend Brookie or
Yeah.
my friend Julia.
Did you
knows?
have siblings? growing
Oh
up?
yeah.
Yeah. Were you the youngest or oldest?
I
or-
am second to youngest. I have
Okay.
a younger brother. It's we're sort of like Irish twins. He
Okay.
came soon after me. I have an older brother, Kenny, and I have an older sister, Nancy. And my younger brother, Eric, and I we were partners in crime with television. We
Right.
watched all the same stuff.
So you didn't have to like negotiate for your favorite shows. That's always.
Oh yeah, Jim and I did. We
Yeah.
had one. There was a phase where we had one TV when we were little, and at 6:00 on the East Coast, 6 p.m. Star Trek was on at the same time as the Brady Bunch.
Oh, that
And
Civil Wars have started. over
yeah,
that.
we had a really rough time. We
And
had a
obviously
rough
you were
couple
the
years.
Star Trek fan, and he was the
I
Brady
wasn't,
Bunch
and
fan.
he was, and but Star Trek was an hour. Brady Bunch was only half an hour. So sometimes the compromise was he got to watch half an hour,
Right.
unless it was the Trouble with Tribbles, in which case I
You were on
wanted to
board.
watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was about like cute little cuddly.
It's funny if to this day he's still only seen the last half hour of every Star Trek
No,
episode.
he's seen them all.
He's caught
I
up
think
to
he even
some.
went to a couple of conventions, but he wouldn't want me to tell you that.
I can cut that out. Yeah, that's fine.
Good thing you didn't.
So you guys, the first time I remember seeing you guys was on TV, I think it was either Letterman or Saturday Night Live. I forget. It was probably Saturday Night Live. Or was it 94? Maybe
We
It was
95?
did
definitely
not do
Saturday
Letterman.
Night Live. Yeah,
Was
we
that-
didn't do
oh, you weren't on
Letterman
Letterman?
because Louise.
It was one of the late night
slipped a
shows.
disc.
Oh my God, we were slated to do
Yeah,
that.
it was scheduled. We had to cancel because you slipped a disc.
I have repressed that.
Oh, sorry to
memory.
bring up such a bad memory. But it was one of the, I forget the late night show then, or maybe it was the Tonight Show or something
We
like that. Did
played
you-
Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sting was the other? It was two musical guests, right? It was-
Sting was, yeah, and he bumped us because he wanted to play a song, so we only got to play one song.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When did they break that to you?
Like,
In between the dress rehearsal and the live show. And the thing that's crazy is that we may have the honor of being the only band. I heard somebody told me that Third Eye Blind went on and played only one song, but that was apparently because they sucked so bad that.
We're going to cut the other
They
song. We're
had
going to
to-
write a sketch right now to
Yeah.
replace your second song.
But in our case, we were slated to do two songs, as is every band and
Yeah.
has every band for the last 40 years. And between the dress rehearsal and the live show, Sting, I guess, went to Lorne Michaels and was like, I think I'd like to play a song, or whatever he said. I can't do his accent.
That sounds like Sting.
No.
Quadrophenia Sting.
Yeah, right. And so he played an acoustic song, totally impromptu, and we got bumped for
Jeez.
our other song.
I mean, I guess of all the people to be bumped for, Sting is okay.
well, here's the thing. I grew up with his poster on my wall. I saw the Synchronicity tour.
Yep.
I was a huge fan, and after Lee Majors, it was all about Sting.
Lee Majors
okay?
and Sting. That's pretty good pedigree.
However,
However,
Right.
he should have known. We were a young band.
Give you a chance.
Like, he should have known that that was not. I
Sting
don't know.
has enough. Sting,
Exactly. He had enough.
Maybe it was a song he started 20 years ago that was just tantric and he wanted to finish it. It had just taken that long.
It was the
to
one
get to
about
end of the song.
barley. Remember that
Oh,
one?
yes, of
Fields
course.
of Barley.
I'm still waiting for my letter of apology.
Of apology. It'll come. It'll come. So, did you watch music on TV growing up? Because you didn't have MTV, but
Well, let's talk about the Monkees.
yes, the Monkees was seminal, I think, for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That show was so important because the music was great, and it also, I think, taught us all sort of a history of show business because it was very knowing and winking and went fourth wall breaking and
yeah,
Funny and sweet.
wouldn't you say that it made you want to be in a band?
It made me want to be in a band, and also I think it was like my first real crush was
Me
Davy
too.
Jones.
My first
Davy Jones.
love.
Davy
Yeah.
Jones was your.
Yeah.
See, I was always a Mike Nesmith guy. I mean,
My
not
kids,
a crush way, but
so my daughter loves Mickey Dolenz most of
Okay.
all. I push the Monkees on them all the time, and
I met him a couple months ago. He weirdly watched me do stand up. It was very intimidating.
was he
and strange.
crotchety? Because
No,
I've
he
heard
was-
he was not so kind.
I mean,
when
I think he was had been lubricated a bit to enjoy comedy for the evening.
Oh, okay.
So he was somewhat good in mood.
But he's earned the right to be crotchety, as has Sting.
That's
I mean,
true.
these
Sting
guys
wasn't
have-
exactly
we've seen it.
crotchety.
Really,
was
I thought he
just-
was a
Was
tiny
he?
bit crotchety.
Was he a little crotchety?
He
He's
called us
northern.
Veruca Salt.
Yeah.
Veronica. If anyone should know Veruca Salt, it would be someone who grew up in the north of England.
One would think. Oh
Look
my
how
God.
pretty Cybill Shepherd was. My
She is
God.
one of the most stunning women
Look
of
how
all time.
gorgeous she looks
Yeah.
here when she was going to be on the Mike Douglas show.
I love that she has a little
Oh
baby
wow!
fat
Yeah,
still.
she looks amazing. That was probably the last picture show era that she was on there.
Right.
She's someone who did all these dramatic roles in films, and then in the '80s was really funny on Moonlighting. I feel like we don't get that as much anymore, where you have someone, a film actress or actor who then goes on TV and does really crazy comedy stuff.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of exciting.
This is the most fun.
So the Monkees was something that was like a first musical introduction.
Oh my God, the songs are great.
Yeah, they really are.
They're
And-
great.
In the second season, they would be like, "We have 5 minutes left. Here's Tim Buckley."
Right.
Like, here's Frank Zappa.
Right.
It was such a weird introduction for a show that was sort of weirdly aimed at kids.
Such a cool show. And I think, really, like, my heart hurt. I love Davy Jones so much.
Yeah.
Me too.
You know?
Me too.
And you must have loved the Brady Bunch episode that he
Oh
sang
God,
Girl
yeah.
in.
Well,
Yeah.
the crazy thing is the house that I live in now, we just moved like 4 months ago
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, was the house that, well, first of all, Bela Lugosi lived there, but
Oh,
that's
wow.
not the exciting part for me. For me, the exciting part is the writer who wrote the Davy Jones episode and the Marsha episode
Oh, so a genius.
lived in our house for 30 years. And
Wow.
down in our guest room, that was his office, and that's where he wrote Marsha, and Davy Jones.
That's
episode.
pretty exciting. You could just go in there and just absorb the magic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we could do a show like the Monkees. And I don't mean star in it. And we could just make that happen.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You should do
Watch
it.
out. Girl, don't you walk on me. Got things to say.
Well, the interesting thing too is I think, and I always ask when I have musicians on, like, what their favorite TV theme song is, because for kids who can't buy their own music yet, the music that they first love is a theme song. And one of the reasons I've discovered talking to people that they watch a show every week is to hear their favorite song at the beginning of the show every week, which is a phenomenon probably lost.
It's so true.
Although, isn't Orange is the New Black? Like, doesn't that have a...
That's Regina Spektor.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
People like that song?
Yeah, but this was, it's true. Like the theme
Well,
songs
the theme songs were great.
were so
Yeah.
important.
And then with the advent of Seinfeld, that came the doom doom.
Yes.
You know?
Well, slap bass ruins everything.
well, no, but it was also about like not wanting to waste time, like precious advertising
Yeah.
minutes on a theme song.
Well,
so
shows are
and also
shorter now, too.
getting right into the
Yeah.
show so that you don't get bored and switch the channel.
A 30-minute sitcom now without commercials is 20 minutes. Up from throughout the 70s and 80s, a 30-minute sitcom without commercials was 25 minutes.
That's right.
So we actually have 5 more minutes of commercials. Yeah, so they can't waste a whole minute on a theme song.
No way.
Especially one
Can-
that tells us the setup.
Can we talk about Carol Burnett, the Carol Burnett Show? Did you watch it as much as I did?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh my God, she was the best.
It's the best.
Tim Conway.
And of course, we all waited for them to crack up.
I loved Mother. I didn't like
Yeah.
the spin-off.
Oh,
but
Mama's Family might be my
Mama's-
least favorite sitcom of
Oh,
all
it was
time.
terrible.
It was
but
really
Mama was
awful.
the best.
It
And
was-
while she was in the Carol Burnett
Yes.
show, right?
Well, the pedigree of that was so much better. And then that show was a show that was on a network for one season. They canceled it and went into first-run syndication. And those are the extra cheap ones where nobody from Carol Burnett was involved. Rue McClanahan wasn't on anymore. And it was just like, this is the worst.
Oh, yeah. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
It petered out in a big way, didn't it?
Yeah,
But what
absolutely.
about... let's talk about... 8 is Enough.
Super
Loved
Eight is
it.
Enough fan?
Can anyone sing the theme to 8 is Enough?
I don't... The theme to 8 is Enough never stuck with me. I was actually
No.
talking about
Oh,
this the
wait,
other
what
day.
Was
Was
it just
it?
musical or was there a song? There was a song.
How did it go?
8 is enough.
I remember it was very like
Oh,
lilting.
da, da, da,
Yeah.
for living life with joy or something.
Yeah.
When I was very young, I used to
Eight is enough.
confuse 8 is Enough with the Partridge Family all the time.
Oh,
I don't know
Louise,
why.
you look like you've kind of got the haircut of that one cute.
Lori Partridge?
No.
Susan
On
Day?
8 is enough. No.
Oh, the oldest daughter?
There was maybe Susan. Somebody had the
Susan.
hair, right?
Yeah.
That show, I think Reuben Kincaid. No, Reuben Kincaid wasn't 8 is Enough, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no. Reuben Kincaid was
No,
was a
Partridge
that was
Van
Family.
Partridge
Patten.
Family.
Wasn't it a Van Patten?
Yes,
on
it
8 is
was.
Enough?
It was Dick Van Patten
Van
was the
Patten,
dad.
yes.
I
Mhm.
love Dick Van Patten. You know who else
And
I
Willie
love?
Ames,
Oh, yeah, and the little boy in
Adam Rich.
Adam Rich
yeah,
had
Adam
some
Rich
problems
looked
later.
so much like my little brother Eric
Oh,
that
really?
I really identified with that show because he looked like my little brother.
Yeah, I think that's
loved
too.
him.
People identify their family or their ideal version of a family with a
Yeah.
show that ends up being their
Well,
favorite.
yeah, I think I wanted him as my dad. And, along those lines of he wasn't a dad, was he a dad? I don't remember. But the person who did remind me of my dad was Bob Newhart, because my dad is a psychiatrist.
Oh, very.
And so I felt like he was kind of a TV version of my dad.
Right. And also a show set in Chicago. If you were in there.
Well, I grew up in St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis. Okay.
So not far, but I wasn't familiar with Chicago.
Did you ever share that with your dad, that he reminded you of Bob Newhart?
I may have. I don't remember. But my dad would, we were not a family that watched TV.
Okay.
My dad rarely watched television. He was a reader.
Okay.
And my mom didn't watch it either. It was really just me and my brother. I can't even remember my older brother or sister watching it with us, really.
Were your parents against it, or it just wasn't for them? Like, they didn't have rules like it'll rot your brain or anything like that?
No, I know. Well, I just think my dad had too much to read to sit down and watch TV with us. It might have just sort of been a babysitter, you know?
Yeah. That's true for many of us. I think people our age and sort of a little bit older, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I have very strict rules about TV in my house. I have a daughter.
Right.
And all of my friends with more than one kid are sort of if you have two, you'll get over that real quick.
Is there anything you watched as a kid that you feel like you have to expose your daughter to or your children to try to not program them, but be like, this is important?
To indoctrinate them. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I forced I Love Lucy on them. I forced the Monkees on them.
How did they go over?
They love the Monkees.
Yeah.
Ivy, my daughter, went through a short I Love Lucy phase, not long enough.
What about you? You played. You showed them the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, they love the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
They love it. They still do. I'd like to have them watch the Dick Van Dyke Show. That was one of my very, very favorites.
Yes, a good gateway show is the Walnuts episode with the space aliens, dream episode.
Yeah.
Children respond well to that one. Yes.
Planet Twilo, Hang by Your Thumbs.
Exactly, yes, because it's a strange one.
I tried to get Lila to watch Mr. Rogers, and unfortunately, I started with black and white.
Oh, she was turned off instantly.
That was a big mistake, because now she's just like, no. And
wrong.
plus, there's a Daniel Tiger spinoff, which is cartoon and much more enticing to a small child of this day and age.
Than a hand puppet?
Than a hand puppet.
That's not Daniel Tiger.
Now, how do you get copies of things like this? Here I'm seeing Andrea McArdle in her film debut, Judy Garland's Story. How do I get to see that? It was on NBC.
There's a few ways. So in one of my other odd hobbies, I collect beta and VHS tapes of old TV broadcasts, and then I'll convert them to DVD, and I've had that for years. So I have thousands and thousands of hours of TV. That particular one I don't have, but I could probably hunt it down for you if you'd like to see it. But a lot of people before that used to go to the Museum of Television and Radio
I once went
UCLA.
there with Mary Libby. She and I went because we decided this was pre-internet, and loved Dolly Parton so much, and we were like, we have to hear Dolly's speaking voice. I want to hear her speaking voice because she's so adorable. And so we went to the Museum of Broadcasting that's in Los Angeles. And we just asked them for the tape. They gave us Dolly Parton on Johnny Carson, and we watched it over and over.
In the pre-YouTube days, that's what you had to do. Yeah. She has maybe my favorite Christmas special of all time. It's from 1990. It's called Dolly's Christmas Down Home, and it's all her at Dollywood.
Fun.
She comes out dressed as a reindeer with no explanation at one point. She makes candles with a guy who's so Southern I can't understand a word that he says. She has all her sisters with her, and they're happy to be on TV, but you can see them secretly angry that they're this is their moment. It is the most incredible thing, and the sweaters are just glorious.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is fantastic. She had the last really great variety show on TV in 1988. She had a summer replacement series variety show. It was a true variety show, and it was really the last one that I can think of in almost 30 years for a format that was huge. I mean, that's where most people saw music.
When Louise and I were first, when Veruca Salt was first taking off, I guess it was in 94, 95, we were asked to meet with the Carsey Werner people.
Okay, yeah.
To meet with Marcy Carsey, and I don't think Tom Werner was in the room, but Marcy Carsey was. And they wanted us to do...
host a variety show.
To host a variety show to compete with Saturday Night Live on Fox. This was pre-Mad TV. It's what ended up being Mad TV, I think.
They did She TV, and then Roseanne had a show before that.
She TV. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So they wanted us to host a show.
To front the show. That's very weird.
We can't believe we said no.
I know.
You just weren't into it? Or you're like, we're not
well,
we're musicians.
We were just emerging as a band, right?
Yeah.
We're musicians. We're not TV people. You know, we didn't want to we didn't know how that would affect our path, really, our trajectory into a respected, a respected band.
Yeah, you didn't want to end up being the Heights.
Well, right. And, we, I had the idea, we discussed, like, what kind of a show we could do. Right. And we thought it would be super cool to do, like, the Hugh Hefner Hollywood After Dark type of show where we'd sit and just have parties.
Welcome to our house.
Introduce invite great musicians and have them come, and everyone would be drinking and smoking and doing drugs, and we'd all just be hanging out. And
which is a format they did in the UK throughout the 90s, and we had nothing like that here since the early 70s. It's very weird. That makes sense that Casey Warner produced it because they did Roseanne the TV show, and then she hosted that sketch show before they got Mad TV.
There you go. That was going to be us.
So I would have liked to have seen that.
I know.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen it too.
There's still time. Maybe.
Yeah, we're thinking we're going to do. We got to do something like that.
Yeah, you could do half Monkees, half variety, hang out at our house show. Well, you can hang out at the Monkees' house, basically. Yeah. Did you ever see the Monkees reunion movie from 1997?
No.
Mike Nesmith wrote it, and it's a special they did, and it is so crazy. The premise is they've been living in that house for 30 years.
Oh, no.
So they're all old in there, but like a monster comes to the door and they answer, and he's like, "Hey guys, didn't we do this one already?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was episode 491. We did this one." And so he's like, "Oh, we did this already. Sorry."
Wow, that does not sound great. It doesn't sound great at all.
It's interesting to see. So I know you guys have to get on stage in a moment, so your time is short. I just want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. Is there anything you watch now? We were saying it's mostly reality shows and stuff, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. We don't watch reality. We just meant Hoarders. The only
Hoarders.
show I'll watch is Hoarders.
That's it.
That's it for me.
The weird thing is you gave us these TV guides of, for me, what was like the golden era of television. And then I didn't watch TV. I didn't watch TV all through the 80s. I didn't watch it through the 90s. I really didn't.
You probably had a social life.
Well, and I was busy.
Are you catching up on any of that stuff that you missed back then?
It doesn't appeal to me.
Really?
No. So when Nina and I were playing a show in the 90s in LA, as it happened, Justine Bateman was there.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't live in LA, and so I blundered and said I didn't know any better than to say, "Haven't we met?"
Right.
Now that I live there, I realized.
And she wanted you to say, "Weren't you in Satisfaction?" That was really
okay. But I have a question for you.
Yes, absolutely.
What are these? There's I don't know what year this is. I think it's 71. That's why I don't know it. The Sausage, the Mouse. Clever Elsie, a brand new kind of family entertainment, premieres this September. The Golden Goose.
Oh, I think.
And Tom Tit Tat.
Yeah, Tom Tit Tat. I believe these were Disney pilots for live action shows. So on Sunday nights, they did The Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night for years.
Yeah.
And Disney was at a real low in the early 70s with these live action shows, and they were trying to branch into more like sitcom territory. And so I believe it was a huge failure of the Disney Corporation. But Tom Tit Tat, the world could have been right.
Okay,
yeah,
because I never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has fond memories of Tom Tit Tat.
This is so fun.
All right, we didn't talk about All in the Family.
A show that, again, heavy issues for a family time.
And just super heavy, but I loved that show.
Yeah, that show holds up. It's such a great show. It's always interesting to me to hear people whose dads watched it the wrong way. That Archie Bunk is great.
When Nina and I split up, it was what we call now the Heinous Hiatus.
Right.
And I ordered all of All in the Family.
Oh my God.
All of Sanford and Son.
Wow.
And I watched every single episode.
Did it help?
Yes, I did.
But you didn't go to Archie Bunker's place, though.
No, I didn't. It was like so incredibly comforting to me.
Yeah.
And I just love those shows so much, and I watched them all.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Well, thank you guys so much. I don't want to eat up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you doing this. It was great to talk to you guys.
So much fun. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. what a fun conversation that was. I really could have talked to them forever. It was a lot of fun. They couldn't be nicer, as I said, and are an incredible band. So definitely pick up Ghost Notes. You can get it on iTunes, Amazon, probably a local record store if you still have one of those. It's a very, very good record. And as I said, they were amazing live. So if you have not seen them, if you have the opportunity, definitely go out and see them. This is Friday. We don't normally do special editions on Friday, but you never know when we do. We have new episodes every Wednesday. But if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe on iTunes and rate and review the show. As I said, new episodes every Wednesday, but occasionally I get an opportunity to talk to someone, and we will have bonus episodes on Fridays, Saturdays. You never know, so make sure you subscribe. Also, I love hearing from listeners. You can contact me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can search TV Guidance Counselor and join the community of fans there discussing old television. I don't know why I said that like that, but it seemed appropriate. You can also tweet to me at TV Guidance or at Kenneth W. Reed if you want to just bypass the TV Guidance Counselor Twitter handle for some strange reason. And as I said, we'll have a brand new episode next Wednesday. I'll give you a little scoop here. My guest is Janine Garofalo, who is fantastic. So make sure you tune in Wednesday for that episode, and we'll see you again then on TV Guidance Counselor. Have you showed them that movie?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.